Welcome, poets, to this evening's episode of the Poet's Dilemma podcast. I'm your host, Jacqueline King. Thank you for joining me this evening. Since the last couple of episodes of the Poet's Dilemma grappled with very heavy themes of moral duty, societal tensions, and the one percenters' thirst to profit off of our souls, I thought we should slip into something a little silkier, a little sexier, a little more, should we fuck on the first date? Before we dive into it, we are going to be discussing sex, so please, if this doesn't tickle your fancy, feel free to exit. And for those who'd like to come to the listening booth, I ask you to remain respectful of one another as we each have our own relationship to our bodies. Everyone is entitled to do as they please, as long as it's not infringing on the right of another to do as they please. Okay? So you do you, Glen Coco, and we'll do us. This is a judgment-free zone, sex monkeys. I was no stranger to the impulsive drive to engage in pleasure, validation, and good old-fashioned adult-rated fun. But now I have been captivated by the most extraordinary person I have ever met in my life. And kicker, he loves me back equally. Oh, baby, it feels damn good to have this level of companionship. The work is for something, to be a mirror to a soul that sees me, celebrates me, and most importantly, teaches me each and every day. It works for us, so we keep doing it. Do what you crave and desire. Do what feels right for you. All right. There we have it, Midnight Poets. The dilemma on cue for today. Should I have sex on the first date? Let's dip into it. Laying out the parameters of our horn dilemma that participates in the influence and trajectory of long-lasting human companionship, I want to begin by getting to the core of this act. I think sleeping so quickly with another is made up of a massive spectrum of psychological and physiological desires. Pleasure. The body desires pleasure. Sex is not only language, movement, emotions, and kinks. It's animal. It's reproductive. It's the ego in its highest state of self, engaging in a grand ancestral dance that biologically resolves in reproduction of the very cells that deem themselves worthy of duplication, continuity, continuum, and life. Humans are wired for pleasure. We seek it not only in our genitals, but in our mouths and our eyes and our hearts. Pleasure is a pillar of existence. It's the reward we exchange for having to also experience pain, grief, and loss. Pleasure is the thing that makes something sad not so bad. And because I have experienced pain, I can conclude that pleasure exists. Because I have neurons that like to get giddy when my body is touched just right and make my brain ooze with relaxation. Pleasure is something to be celebrated, respected, and honored. Sex on the first date is invigorating and scratches an itch that nothing else can. It's exciting and encapsulates an immense feeling of validation, release, and play. Sex on the first date can mean and become anything. It holds a whole world of possibility. There is a relational thread that weaves within the spontaneity of novel sex that juxtaposes itself against the familiar and consistent sex. The other day, I saw an Instagram reel of an interview with Esther Perel by a journalist at Cosmopolitan magazine. The journalist asks, "Sex on the first date?" in a row of rapid-fire questions and answers. Perel replies, "Why not?" This nonchalant approach to the timing of sex is because there isn't a recipe or an equation that definitively concludes that if you have sex at X point in time, it resolves into X. For those who are not familiar with Perel, which would be insanity since she is a goddess here on earth who has been gifting humanity with profound language and understanding of our own social behaviors, motivations, psychological development, and discourse. She relies heavily on pleasure to come to her conclusions about humanity. Listen to her, integrate her teachings. If we all reflected in the Perelian way, the world would be a more beloved place. And so it is. There is no magical moment that predicates what the future will be, but rather, as long as the sex is consensual and that the desire in the moment is being honored and that all parties involved accept the consequences that are to follow, then there is no need to beat yourself up about its timing. The outcome will be what the outcome will be. Focus rather on a secure state of mind, respect, and truth. Que sera, sera. Sex on the first date can create a multitude of impressions. It can appear as if you are not looking for something serious. It screams freedom and promiscuity and looks like my 20s. It can also trigger a preconceived notion of your values, your liberation, your daddy issues, your self-esteem to the other person, whatever it may be. And while we can hold our intentions, it's not up to us how they're perceived by others. And this is the risk we take when we rip our clothes off. But it's risk that opens up a world of endless possibilities, connections, and chance. We cannot have freedom without risk. Throughout history, sex has been an intriguing and defining motive for many. Sex is economic's original commodity. Sex is an exchange of power, a mechanism to climbing social hierarchies, an emblem of betrayal and allegiance, and the acceptance or abandonment of responsibility. Could you imagine if we still lived in the days where if you took a woman's virginity, you were required by moral law to wed her? The burden of winking one out was phenomenal. Thank God for progress. All hail the liberated whore. Consensual sex when we wanna, how we wanna, and with who we wanna. Let's take it back to the OG lesbian, our leading poetic lady, dripping wet in lapis and thread, Sappho. Sappho was writing and living around 600 BCE. She lived on a Greek island named Lesbos, which, fun fact, this is where the word lesbian comes from. Sappho was no stranger to femme play and desire. She wrote many poems celebrating the female body, eroticism, desire, and brokenheartedness. To clarify, in ancient Greek society, sexuality wasn't really defined by gender or heteronormative or homonormative constraints that our modern day society is built on, but instead, it was based on power, class, and mentorship. In an age where pedophilia was not totally bad and where childhood was not yet to be a concept respected, celebrated, and protected. Let's not go down that whole path of revealing that our ancient heroes, they fucked children. No. No. We're going to keep this lighthearted. Is my own mind inherently a cockblock? It's incredible how no matter what point in history we look at, humans always found themselves in complicated relationships. Sexual desire makes people do some crazy ass shit. As Sappho sunbathes near the shore, she contemplates. This poem is called 31 by Sappho. He seems to me equal to gods, that man, whoever he is, who opposite you sits and listens close to your sweet speaking and lovely laughing. Oh, it puts the heart in my chest on wings, for when I look at you, even a moment, no speaking is left in me. No, tongue breaks and thin fire is racing under skin. And in my eyes, no sight. A drumming fills ears, and cold sweat holds me. Shaking grips me all, greener than grass. I am, and dead, or almost I seem to be. But all is to be dared, because even a person of poverty. Sappho is writing of a secret desire, a desire devoured in longing, in despair, in shame, and lust. It feels as if her call for this woman of her eye is beating so deep, it is unable to leave her. The desire exists in the hollowness of her holes, craving, praying, and yearning. It is said that sex is the most religious experience one can have. The orgasm has the power to blur the line between what is empirical and what is spiritual. It can cause the brain to lose its sense of self. Where does my body end and your body begin? When I reflect back on my 20s, I believed I was a 21st century liberated woman, and perhaps I was. I am. Yes, of course I was, and I am. But in the same breaths, two truths can be held. In the metaverse of liberation, our shackles are only as broken as the next link. The same anonymous and promiscuous sex I was having was still a symbol of my liberation, but it was also a product of my trauma and my deep longing for validation, acceptance, and belonging. Life has proven that indeed both are true. And having that acute sense of awareness is fundamentally required when you engage in casual sex. As long as we are honest with ourselves, we accept our impact and outcome. Bringing it back to Esther Perel, who is the knowledge holder of so much great wisdom, she recently appeared, well, actually, I don't know if it was recent. It was recent to me. She appeared on Noah Trevor's podcast where she talked about how attraction plus obstacles equal excitement. And it is this excitement where intrigue, dedication, honesty, and play will live. So to remove the obstacle of having sex on the first date can sometimes diminish this excitement, can diminish the intrigue. But this is the risk we face and should be aware of when we give it up in the early days. The friction between attraction and obstacles drives interest. The interest aids in the longevity of partnership and play by building a foundation rooted in curiosity. Perel states that we are creatures of meaning. We desire to have purpose, be purposeful, and be purposefully seen and witnessed. If we abandon meaning, we lose sight of our authenticity and desire. We are inherently relational creatures, and engaging in sexual relations, being desired, being released, is part of our own sense of purpose. And therefore, if we recognize this inherent desire within ourselves and allow it to provide a mature explanation to why we do the things we do, then we can hold our accountability with pride, no matter what the future outcome may hold. She goes on to share that being able to deal with uncertainty is what helps to deal with anxiety. I found this to be so profound. Once we are able to get comfortable with the uncertain and the realm that any possibility is probable, we become the drivers in our own lives. We defeat anxiety in battle because we aren't afraid of the unknown. We welcome it. We invite it. We exercise this muscle of uncertainty so we can absorb any anxious thoughts of the unknown world. We become centered and grounded and comfortable with the unknown. I think this logic can be applied not only to sex, but also to our own mortality. Using this framework can help you fear not of death, but rather celebrate it as a symbol of preciousness, of time, in like a circle of life, Lion King kind of way. It's a complete surrender to our own mortality, our own fleeting godliness. Sex on the first date surrenders any preconceived notions of what a relationship should be and look like, and dips into a state of gratification and lust, accepting what may come forth in earnest. And it is this place of complete comfort that you can actually surprise the other person into wanting to desire you even more. You're so comfortable with your choices that you would choose it over and over and over again. Now that is confidence. And confidence is who I want to sit next to at the dinner party. This next poem I would like to share is written by the incredibly talented poet and novelist Ocean Vuong, a voice of our generation. Vuong's use of language paints a vivid vessel of the mind, desire, grief, and struggle. He pickles language to a kind of sweetness, honesty, and vulnerability. This poem I will share is from his poetry collection, Night Sky with Exit Wounds, which touches on themes of violence, familial relations, queerness, and developing a sense of becoming. This poem is called Telemachus by Ocean Vuong. Like any good son, I pull my father out of the water, drag him by his hair through white sand. His knuckles carving a trail the waves rush in to erase. Because the city beyond the shore is no longer where we left it. Because the bombed cathedral is now a cathedral of trees. I kneel beside him to show how far I might sink. Do you know who I am, Ba? But the answer never comes. The answer is the bullet hole in his back, brimming with seawater. He is so still, I think. He could be anyone's father. Found the way a green bottle might appear at a boy's feet containing a year he has never touched. I touch his ears. No use. I turn him over to face it. The cathedral in his sea-black eyes, the face not mine, but one I will wear to kiss all my lovers good night. The way I seal my father's lips with my own and begin the faithful work of drowning. This poem is a tender whisper, hair play that tingles the body in its slowness of language, in its appetite for more. The poem takes its name from the Greek mythology, the Odyssey. Telemachus, who is the son of Odysseus and Penelope. Telemachus is desperately searching for his wandering father, who has just gone on this great Odyssey, both on their own journeys of resolution. They have this coming together moment when they both return to Ithaca and have to slay all the suitors that are trying to bed Penelope. They're like, not so fast, bitch. Vuong is foiling queer identity and the experience of an absent father by digging deep into the father-son relationship and the impact that that relationship has on the development of self-confidence, respect, and manhood. And this complex experience around masculinity and how society has polluted this state of being. To be masculine is also to be feminine, and vice versa. But we aren't raised this way because all of our upbringings are of the product of our parents' own insecurities and ever-gaping wounds. When we heal ourselves, we heal the past. We do the healing that our ancestors didn't know how. They didn't have the language. I like how it's easier for me to think and talk about gay sex. I think it must be because I think straight sex is scary. Well, it looks like we're almost made it through our time together. And so I would like to conclude this dilemma of counting the number of dates you should have before you fuck as a moot point. Unlike other things, it doesn't matter the length of time, but rather it depends on the psychological maturity and owning the repercussions and consequences and impact that our actions have. Fuck all you want, but own it. And don't pretend it's something that it isn't. This, my dear, will be the most attractive thing you can do and will in turn pull the other person in, and they'll want to play with you over and over and over again. To conclude, I will share with you a tasty little poem of my own. May these notes make you smirk, laugh, and feel comfortable when you think of the body. May we all feel what it feels like to be desired, to desire, in a moaning welcome of undressing. The poem is called A Series of Sex Notes. The doorway to pleasure is a labyrinth toiled with pain. It'll take decades to master the path. Baptize me in a pool of your sweat, so I can know the taste of holy water. Caress the flesh of a sinner as Dionysus caresses his glass of wine. If sexual seduction is a science, call me doctor. I have only one God, and her name is Aphrodite. Morning sex for the daily, nighttime sex for the kink. The color of my bed is cream. You can lick it, but don't poke it. Bounce, bounce, bounce. When I think of the past, I see a woman so desperate to be loved. Undress me like the moon undresses the sun. Add coconut oil to the grocery list. Isn't it curious? The relationship between an increase in pain tolerance and penetration? My fragility, gone. Bend the knee. Most nights I'm little spoon, but when you need me, I'll show up. I'll be big spoon. I want you nasty. The devil wears Prada and latex. Clean up on aisle bed sheets. I don't know. I guess it's just the way that I fuck. All right, poets, that concludes this evening's episode of The Poet's Dilemma. I hope you got turned on by my sultry voice and you go wank one out just for me. Remember, in life, we will face dilemmas every single day. Stay true to who you are, love yourself first, and then everything else will fall into place. Trust the universe, trust us, trust you. Many blessings, poets. Good night. Ah.